bright star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the plan we pray. Bless our feet straight from the places our God will lead. Bless us
Good afternoon. I'm delighted to welcome you to this spring term of our 159th academic year. Welcome. Welcome to those of you in this room, and welcome to those of you joining us by live stream. Welcome to our returning students, some who were here busy in J-term classes, others who were spending time on projects and with family and friends. Welcome back. Welcome to our new students, all 25 of you who are just beginning on this journey. Welcome to staff members who worked steadily over the break to make sure we have a generative learning community. Welcome to returning faculty members who taught classes or led CTS events during J-term, faculty members who worked on various projects over January, faculty members who worked so hard to prepare for this term. We are particularly delighted to welcome two visiting scholars faculty with us this term, Dr. Linda Thomas from LSTC, Dr. Thomas, and Dr. Stephen Ray from Garrett Evangelical Theological Seminary. We're so glad to have you as visiting scholars. They're both here as visiting scholars for the Center for the Study of Black Faith and Life, and we're delighted to have your engagement with us this term. Welcome to alums, welcome to our trustees here today, and welcome to visitors. May each and every one of this gathered community have a productive and inspired semester. May our hope be rekindled with fire from above. As you know, opening Convocation is a formal tradition where we officially acknowledge the new and continuing aspects of our life. We honor the significance with regalia and ceremony. We reaffirm our mission, our vision and commitments, and we acknowledge the value of learning. Let us celebrate fully this ritual moment, a chance to start fresh, to begin again, a chance to acknowledge the fullness of our relationships with one another. May our work here be our worship of God. Welcome to the official opening of the spring semester for Chicago Theological Seminary.
Trustees have a unique privilege of being the support behind what you see, and as such, it is our privilege to celebrate this joint learning adventure that you share with our faculty. When we meet, one of our greatest pleasures is hearing what is done together, how you have learned and how you have taught, because it is indeed a mutual learning and teaching that you share with your colleagues who right now may seem to more challenge you than support you. But that is a part of our community. We salute you, we celebrate your progress, we are encouraged by your progression towards that famous word, commencement, and we look forward to it for each of you.
I bring you greetings from our Dean, Dr. Ken Stone, who cannot be with us today, and he has asked me to stand in his stead and indeed to bring you greetings at this convocation, which, as the President has indicated, is a time that we gather publicly to recognize that part of our life that is devoted to teaching and learning and research and writing. This is the spring convocation, and what else would it be? When the snow is deeply round about us, old snow, new snow, deeply fallen snow, ice, what else would it be but spring convocation? And could there be any clearer testimony that at Chicago Theological Seminary we live by faith and not by sight? So, a witness, a mighty witness. The academic notices. Last week, our Board of Trustees met for its annual mid-year meeting, and I am happy to announce that one of the actions taken by the board was the approval of promotion and tenure for Dr. Rachel Mikva, who holds the Rabbi Herman Schalman Chair in Jewish Studies. This approval follows the enthusiastic and unanimous recommendation of the tenured faculty, as well as 3 external reviewers who specialize in the field of rabbinic Jewish literature. We are delighted by Dr. Mikva's promotion from assistant to associate professor and grateful for her continued work with us in the areas of Jewish studies, biblical studies, and interreligious engagement. A happy announcement indeed. Dr. Mikva is also one of several faculty members who will be giving lectures outside of CTS in the coming weeks. She will be speaking at the Central Conference of American Rabbis on the topics dangerous religious ideas and subversive stories and other parables, both of which are related to courses that she teaches here at CTS. Dr. Lee Butler will be giving the annual African American Heritage Sermon at the Third Baptist Church of Chicago this month. Dr. Ken Stone will be giving a keynote address at a religious gendering conference at Chapman University in California at the end of this month. Dr. Haldeman will be giving a lecture on death, body, and sexuality at Lutheran School of Theology in March. Dr. Sing-Ae Yang will be speaking at the Korean American Catholic Forum in March. And John Thomas will be giving the Luckuk Lecture at Yale Divinity School at the beginning of April. So, a busy time ahead for members of our community. This semester, Dr. Joanne Terrell, Associate Professor of Ethics, Theology, and the Arts, is away on sabbatical, the Happy Isles of the Blessed, as it's sometimes known. And we are happy to welcome back from sabbatical Dr. Julia Speller, Associate Professor of American Religious History and Culture, and Dr. Sing-Ae Yang, Associate Professor of New Testament. And Dr. Yang will be speaking in late April at a more spring-like convocation, we hope, and Dr. Speller will be speaking to us in the fall. Our speaker for today's convocation is Dr. Myung Seo, Associate Professor of Theology and Cultural Criticism. Professor Seo earned his BA from Drew University, his MA from the University of Chicago, and his Master of Divinity and PhD from Chicago Theological Seminary. He joined the faculty as an assistant professor in 2000, and in addition to teaching required courses in global sensitivity and philosophical thought, he has been teaching courses in areas of cultural analysis, philosophy, theology, Confucianism and other Asian religions, and the history of Korean thought. In addition to writing multiple articles and essays, Professor Seo is the author of the books A Critique of Western Theological Anthropology, which is based on his CTS dissertation, The End of the University, The Status of Higher Education in Contemporary Capitalism, published in Korean, and his latest book, The Status of Knowledge in the University and Humanities, is coming out now in Korean. As these titles indicate, Professor Seo has a wide range of interests in education and in the humanities. He is a person who, perhaps uniquely in in our faculty combines theological studies, cultural studies, film studies, other things like that. In fact, Professor Seo, early in his teaching career, in a mere 5 words, did just that when he was lecturing on theological method. He combined theological studies, cultural studies, and film studies with as succinct a statement concerning theological method as I've ever heard, which was, stupid is as stupid does. A pithy and cautionary proverb. I think it's a proverb. And so there you go. I believe he will be speaking slightly longer than that today. And we look forward to his address, Ralph Waldo Emerson as a Thinker of Religions.
Let us step into holiness together. Let us step through the everyday into the present, into presence. Let us find God in song, in word, in the bellows of breath, the churning of thought. Let us make room for new connections between ideas, between journeys, between the hearts of those gathered here, between our humanity and the sacred divinity that is our home. Let us find paths between the work of our days and the passion that drives us, visions for our time together and for the futures that we dream toward. Amen.
Our readings. The first reading is from Gospel of John. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends if you do what I command. I do not call you students any longer, because the student does not know what the teacher is doing. But I have called you friends, because I have made known to you everything that I have heard from the one who sent me. You did not choose me, but I chose you, and I appointed you to go and bear fruit, fruit that will last. The second reading is from Ralph Waldo Emerson's address in 1838. Let me admonish you, first of all, to go alone, to refuse the good role models, even those which are sacred in the imagination of all people, and dare to love God without mediator or veil. Friends enough you shall find who will hold up to your emulation Wesleys, Oberlins, saints, and prophets. Thank God for these good men, but say, I also am a saint, a prophet. Imitation cannot go above its model. The imitator dooms himself to hopeless mediocrity. The inventor did it because it was natural to her. And so in her, it has a charm. In the imitator, something else is natural, and he bereaves himself of his own beauty to come short of another's.
A convocation address is an opportunity for a faculty member to talk about what he or she has been working on. The title of my address, however, does not quite explain itself, given the things that I have been known to be interested in my teaching and writing. When I first suggested the title of my talk to someone who happened to be Professor Scott Haldeman, this was amusing and really justified response he gave me. So, what am I doing with Emerson? Or what have I been doing with his work? The answer to the second question is not very much. The times I bring up the name of Emerson in classroom are usually in passing in the context of discussing John Dewey's work, which incidentally indicates a particular bent in understanding Emerson's work. What I would like to speak about today is a kind of meditation on this. A better title might be, How Have I Come to Think About Emerson? But first, before we forget, if there is something like a thesis in my talk today, it would be something like this. We have not yet taken up Emerson's work theologically, at least not adequately and not enough in my mind. Secondly, if we are to take up Emerson theologically today, we can do it in part by reevaluating his work as a theology of religions, and hence the official title of my address, Emerson as a Thinker of Religions. And I will come back to that later in my talk. So how did I get to Emerson? It certainly was not by taking courses in Emerson's theology. While claiming no particular expertise in Emerson, even now, I will describe the stages of how I came to Emerson, or at least how I got to the point of making the claims in the thesis that I talked about. What I knew about Emerson coming out of college, and in fact, well into my graduate studies, was very little. I remember having read the text of American Scholar, though it's not very clear where or how. I also read a few paragraphs of Nature, his first book, and read about the significance of his divinity school address in more than a few written texts with quotations from that address. Emerson's reputation that I heard all along was, of course, impeccable. The sage of Concord, the author of The Independence of America's Intellectual Independence, the philosopher of democracy, America's first public intellectual, and so on. My first significant encounter with Emerson, though it did not lead to a correspondingly significant reading of his work at that time, happened through my reading of the philosopher Stanley Cavell's work on Henry David Thoreau and Emerson many years ago. Cavell's work initially had to do with asking the question of whether America has or has not expressed itself in philosophy. Cavell's work led to a whole new development in the study of Emerson, in this case, a philosophical development. One of the things that Cavell's work on Emerson did for me was that it helped me take an interest in Emerson's thought on America, or Emerson as a thinker of America's self-conception. I have, in fact, always had an interest or even a fascination about conceptions of America, particularly those from outside this country. Needless to say, this led to the works of such thinkers as Alexis de Tocqueville's Democracy in America and C.R.L. James's American Civilization, and more recent Baudrillard's America. And along the way, I got to be acquainted with and became interested in some of the less known conceptualizations available in the works of philosopher Hegel, Max Weber, Theodor Adorno, and even the German writer Thomas Mann. So Emerson's conception coming from within this country added something to my interest in America. America is the only country that I know of about which it makes sense to ask, what is America? Another way of saying this might be, America is the only country about which philosophical conception is possible and where there is a history of